Welcome to the 6th episode of Rally for the Republic, June 13, 2024. I'm your host, Bryan Rudnick. And while Joe Biden is getting lost in Italy, I'm broadcasting from Noah's Ark here in South Florida, where Governor DeSantis has declared a state of emergency due to flooding. And as if floods weren't bad enough, we've got Russian warships floating nearly 30 miles off the coast of South Florida. I guess Joe Biden's doing a great job of keeping Putin in line. Congressional Republicans just defeated the Democrats last night in a 31-11 fourth annual consecutive win at their congressional baseball game for charity. Maybe this is foreshadowing what we can expect in November. Today's show, I'm going to talk about the breaking news of the Supreme Court over the abortion pill. Good old Merrick Garland, a little bit on Israel, a whole lot on the 2024 election, and a bit more on the judiciary. I'll be back to you in a moment.
This is a battle cry for the American way of life and a relentless pursuit of truth and justice. It comes from a voice with unmatched experience and unyielding resolve. Join us as we dissect current events and tip the scales in your favor. This is Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
This is Bryan Rudnick coming to you live from the Rally for the Republic headquarters, floating around in South Florida. Joe Biden is in Italy at the G7 working meeting. You probably heard he's signing a money deal with the Ukraine. They call it a bilateral security arrangement. I call it the Biden retirement plan, making sure Hunter gets taken care of when he's out of jail. And Joe Biden, of course, is the big guy. He's going to get his 10%. But that's what they're calling a new Ukraine defense program. And more importantly, the Supreme Court put out the decision moments ago over the FDA approval of the abortion pill, mifepristone. And I want to just remind listeners, the fight is not over. Let's face it, conservatives aren't going to stand for this. A unanimous written opinion by Justice Brett Kavanaugh, even everybody else that we think is a conservative Trump appointee, etc., on the bench went along. This was a procedural issue. Don't get fooled by the news on this. Democrats are probably going to cheer and say, oh, what a victory, but they don't want you to know it was the conservatives who even went along with this on the bench. And let's face it, I guess there is not a healthcare crisis for women in America because now they can kill babies in the womb by getting it ordered through the mail. Okay, let's move on to the next topic because we know that one's going to get debated for a while. Conservatives, I'm sure, are very upset about that for many reasons, but let's focus on what we can do to win. Let's talk about the victories we need to have. And starting with Merrick Garland, held in contempt of Congress yesterday. GOP pushed it. Why? Because Merrick Garland is the chief weaponizer of the federal government against you, the American citizen, the freedom-loving American who wants to keep his constitutional rights in check, wants to hold the government at bay. But Merrick Garland, let's talk about who this man is. He's not just some lawyer. He's not just the Attorney General of the United States. No, he's seeking vengeance on behalf of Joe Biden and himself because he's not sitting on the United States Supreme Court ruling on things like the abortion by mail pill. No, he wanted that job. Obama almost gave it to him, and then Mitch McConnell cut a deal, and boom, one of the only good things Mitch McConnell ever did. And Merrick Garland is stuck being our attorney general, and he's trying to stick it to us every which way. He signed an editorial the other day on Monday. He said this is a conspiracy, an attack. Everyone's out to get him. He's starting to sound like Donald Trump. What do you know? He doesn't like this. He doesn't like the truth coming out. He's just protecting executive privilege. Joe Biden signed executive privilege. He shouldn't have to testify. He shouldn't have to hand over records. Wow, he sounds like Peter Navarro. How'd that work out for Peter Navarro? So guess what? Attorney General, you ain't above the law either. If the United States Congress comes calling and says you turn it over, you turn that stuff over. But no, this is a man who has refused to prosecute amnesty cases. He has seized the cell phone of a congressman, Scott Perry, claiming he was an enemy of the state or whatever garbage. He oversaw the raid at Mar-a-Lago, getting jackbooted agents to go through Melania's unmentionables. Even more disgusting was treating parents at school board meetings like domestic terrorists. His FBI tried to do that. and he targeted Catholics at conservative churches. He went after pro-life activists. He tried to push the ATF to go into gun stores and seize records on what law-abiding citizens were buying. That's the kind of man we're dealing with here. So when the Republicans are trying to hold this man accountable, they're doing the right thing. Cheer them on. Let them know they're doing the right thing. Call your members of Congress and tell them, go after Merrick Garland. He is a problem. So do not let the Republican Party give up on this like they've tried to do on impeaching Joe Biden or Alejandro Mayorkas. No, we need to keep going after Merrick Garland. He is the chief weaponizer of the federal government and the chief protector of Biden. He will use all the resources of our government to come after you, the liberty-loving American. Now, if you want to take back our republic, we're going to flip the tables and go after him and give him a taste of his own medicine. This is how we rally the republic. I'll be back to you in a moment.
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
Okay, this is Bryan Rudnick back to you from the Rally for the Republic flotilla here in South Florida. We're going to start by talking about Israel. Israel's still under attack, especially in the north. Hundreds upon hundreds of rockets have bombarded Israel in the last 48 or so hours over the holiday of Shavuos. IDF is firing back into Lebanon, and it's just a big mess. And Joe Biden's guy, Anthony Blinken, thinks he's one of us. He ain't. But hey, he's over there. He's trying to do shuttle diplomacy. We've got hostages who had been brainwashed thinking IDF forces came to kill them. Nothing's getting accomplished. And Joe Biden is just giving all his love and attention to Zelensky in the battle in Ukraine while Palestinians are getting ready to double down on a Fatah. Okay. And their support for Hamas is rising. Why? Because the United States and our allies are doing a shitty job of helping Israel win the war. So we need to remember they've got to win the war. No hamstringing, no hands tied behind their back. No, stand with Israel. Let's get the job done. Let's get rid of the terrorists. Let's make the world, not just Israel, let's make the world a safer place. Why? Because that is what is in the best interest of not just liberty-loving Americans, but any Jew, any Christian, any peace-loving person in this world knows that Israel belongs to the people that God has said it belongs to, not a bunch of people who want to kill babies and pull them out of the womb and come after anybody who doesn't support their anything other than peaceful religion. I'll be back to you in a moment on the 2024 election.
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
So I'm back, Bryan Rudnick, Rally for the Republic, going to talk about the 2024 election. A lot of things in play today. A couple of things we're going to cover quickly, and I've got a very big topic I'm going to want you to listen on. First, we got the SCOTUS decisions today that have come out. They'll be important. They'll be fodder. Things are going to be discussed. Have to handle them. We'll handle them fine. Trump was in D.C. with the Republican leadership. Kudos to all of them getting together, discussing victory this November. Big issue, cutting spending. Don't want the Democrats trying to claim we're doing anything other than we're doing. Entitlements are not getting cut. Don't make up those lies, Joe. Don't. Trump is going to win. Republican majority seems to get their messaging down, or at least they understand what their marching orders are from Trump, so that's great. And Joe Biden's probably going to want to take a victory lap over the supposed 2 months of cooling inflation. If there's anybody who actually thinks things don't cost too damn much, I'd love to hear from you. Feedback at rallyfortherepublic.com. More important, here in Florida, if we want to take back the Senate, we got to help Senator Rick Scott. He's having a little trouble. Some polling came out. Democrats have been beating up on him badly. They were spending money. You got your leftist billionaires coming in to help, and he's got some crazy progressive on the left pretending to be a moderate, and the polling is starting to not go such a great way, but we can flip that. Get behind Senator Rick Scott's doing a lot of great things on IVF. I complimented him on it the other day, and I encourage everybody to get behind him. Okay, more importantly, upcoming election, New York 16th Congressional District. That's a little bit outside the city in this place called Westchester, where the Clintons live. You might have heard of it. Very, very important. Even Hillary's getting involved in this race. Oh, yeah. She knows there's a squad member, Jamaal Bowman. You remember that name? The man pulled the fire alarm in Congress to stop a vote. This is a man who literally has committed insurrection. He should have been put in jail. He did have to plead guilty, and he's under House ethics, and you know where that's going, nowhere. But there's early voting starts in the New York 16th Congressional District, June 15th through the 23rd, with a primary election day on June 25th. Jamaal Bowman is a crook. He's an insurrectionist. He's a socialist. More importantly, he's an anti-Semite. He has literally put it out there. He's proudly anti-Semitic, proudly favors the BDS movement, the anti-Israel, anti-Jewish movement, yet he's in a district that's heavily Jewish. He's got to be defeated. AIPAC, liberal-loving AIPAC, has now decided to put money into this race to boot him. Of course, Bowman's like, oh, it's backed by conservative billionaires and millionaires. AIPAC ain't known for being ZOA. Let's be real. They've started to get a conscience. They started to understand you got to be a lot more solid on Israel. So if you've got friends living in New York 16, you live there, you know anybody, let me give you a list of some of the municipalities in the district. In the show notes, I'm going to list the zip codes and a link to the map so you could see it. This is Bronxville, Dobbs Ferry, Eastchester, Elmsford, Harrison, Irvington, Larchmont, Mamaroneck, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Pelham, Portchester, Rye, Scarsdale, Tuckahoe, White Plains. They got a great hospital there. I know somebody close to me who got born there. They got a nice mall. There's Yonkers. A lot of interesting and great people up there. You should know them. I know some of them. And they need to vote this guy the hell out of Congress. This guy is dangerous. Jamaal Bowman is a squad member who actually, for some reason, has been taken seriously. And I don't know why. The good people of the 16th Congressional District, many of whom are Jewish, are allowing this anti-Semite to stay in Congress. You need to fight back. You want to take our country back. You get rid of terrorist-loving people like Jamaal Bowman. This is so important. Do not, and I repeat, do not do anything other than replay what I'm saying to you today. Go to the show notes, see the map of the district. It's going to be in the show notes. See the zip codes. Call your friends. Call your family. Everybody knows somebody close to Westchester. You don't just have to know the Clintons. And you got to get rid of this guy. Voting starts next week, early voting. Primary election day, June 25th. Get rid of Jamaal Bowman. Do it now.
You are listening to Rally for the Republic with your host, Bryan Rudnick.
Bryan Rudnick, Rally for the Republic. I'm going to end this show talking a little bit about the judiciary and some last thoughts. Today's show is a little short, and I apologize. There's just so much in the news. I've got candidates running for Congress that need my attention, and I want to give you some, but I've got to give them more. So the Democrats, as you know, yesterday, in addition to all the other crazy things they're doing, attempted in the U.S. Senate to pass a ethics code for our Supreme Court of the United States. They failed miserably. Lindsey Graham led the charge. He's going after them. You know, you got AOC and Jamie Raskin I spoke about trying to do the same thing in the House. Let's not even go there. These people are ridiculous. The Supreme Court is enforcing their new ethics pledge they signed last year. They're all filling out reports. We're learning the truth. There's a little bit more transparency. The Founding Fathers somewhat knew what they were doing with the Supreme Court. Okay, it's a little more secret than we'd like, than we're used to. Yes, there needs to be disclosures, everybody in government, but let's be real. What do you think you're going to do? You're going to haul these people up in front of the United States Congress Judiciary Committee. You're going to hold them in contempt of Congress, go fight that, waste time, and not save our country. We got bigger fish to fry here, people. Let's not fall into that trap. After all, we got the ACLU. You remember those people fresh off their $25 million tour to kill babies in the womb with a license like Hamas and Hezbollah, getting more woke on us. Yes, more woke. Okay. These are the people who now, not only do they want you to kill babies in the womb, every illegal alien coming into this country is seeking asylum. They're making sure they get asylum. They're making sure Joe Biden holds up asylum, and they're going to use the courts, clog our courts with these asylum cases. This is part of the problem. Quite frankly, there should be a federal RICO investigation into the ACLU and all the things they're doing to harm our country at your expense, because guess who's going to pay to have the clogged courts happening? You, the taxpayer. You're going to have to pay for that federal staff, the judge, the clerks, the lawyers who assist the judge, anybody in those buildings, the security, all those cases that have to keep happening come at your expense. Not only are you paying to feed these illegals, house these illegals, educate their kids, give them health care. No, you're paying so their attorneys can clog your courts. So think about that. Maybe it's time for a change. Maybe it's time for a RICO charge. Why? Because they're getting away with it because there's people like Nancy Pelosi who are still in Congress, still have a say in this country. Yeah, they do. Why? Because bless her heart, as my friends in the South would say, this woman, knowing that Donald Trump was coming here today to Washington, D.C., to meet with the GOP, to plan and plot how we take back our country, how he incorporates the work of some of the think tanks in D.C. that are working on ensuring a successful second Trump administration. And she has the audacity, after we now have heard her revelation, which really she was exposed on a long time ago, that she intentionally did not secure the Capitol building on January 6th as Speaker of the House. She was the one in charge. She failed. She's the one who should be tried for treason and insurrection, not Donald Trump. But she says today the instigator of an insurrection is returning to the scene of the crime. January 6th was a crime against the Capitol that saw Nazi and Confederate flags flying under the dome that Lincoln built. Hey, lady, that was your fault, not his. It's amazing that you want to continue to throw. Can you even remember this? Can you and Joe Biden remember? Oh, thank God your daughter recorded all of this so we can use it against you. We appreciate that. Thank you. Because she wants to talk about the peaceful transfer of power. I recall it happened. Do you recall it happened? I sure do. I don't see the Proud Boys in charge. So it was a crime against the members. It was a crime to lock the doors on American citizens, lady. It's our building. You locked the doors on American citizens and then claimed they were trespassing when they came to see the peaceful transfer of power. I've seen the videos that have been released, people, so do not get fooled by Nancy Pelosi and these leftist claims. If you go to the House Oversight Committee's website and you watch the videos, and I watched so many of those videos, I saw them walk by police officers. I saw the police officers guide them through the building. I saw them talk. One guy got kicked out for being rowdy. One. Not hundreds. They weren't punching cops. They didn't carry Nazi flags. Not in the videos I saw. How about you? Let's go to the raw footage. Remember, the left wants to fool us. They want to distract us. So if you want to take back our country, if you want to win this election, don't get distracted. Victory this November is within our reach. That's why Donald Trump came to speak with the Republican leadership. Hey, this is the plan. He laid it out. They're in agreement. Okay, there's infighting. It's going to happen. Don't worry about it. Don't get distracted by those process stories and the, what do they call them? Inside the castle stories and all that garbage. No, let's not worry about that. Okay, don't be distracted by the life issue. Don't be distracted by the pill issue at the Supreme Court. These are all leftist traps. You got to stay the course. We got to right the ships. You want to win? You get rid of people like Jamaal Bowman and you hold people like Merrick Garland accountable. That's what's going to enthuse our base. That's what's going to get them to see that we really are doing the right things. You've got to have those Pyrrhic victories. Okay, that's really important. And it's meaningful to saving our country. So you want to rally the Republic, you got to get in the game. Like I emphasized yesterday, you've got to donate to Republican candidates before the end of this quarter. Do not wait. Don't let another day pass you by. Don't let another week pass you by. Make sure Republican candidates, not just Donald Trump, who we need as president of the United States, make sure the Republican candidates up and down the ballot, especially the ones running for Congress, are flush with cash. And I'm going to leave you with just a few other words that I will be out of pocket until Tuesday. So I'm going to apologize in advance if you don't hear from me until then. I'm going to wish a happy Father's Day to all the biological fathers who are out there celebrating, not the ones going through their gender transitions. Okay. I want to be very clear about that. And if you have something you want me to address in a future show or even offline you want to address with me, we've created feedback at rallyfortherepublic.com. That's feedback at rally4therepublic.com. I hope many of you will write me and give me your thoughts. This is the 6th episode of Rally for the Republic on June 13th, another historic day in America. I look forward to talking with you in the future about the rest of them. Thank you, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us on Rally for the Republic, where we are fighting for America's future. Visit 1776coalition.com. Rally for the Republic podcast is available on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and download. Join Bryan Rudnick next time as we continue to fight for the American way of life and challenge the hypocrisy. This is Rally for the Republic.